Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you are listening to 105.3 and 107.7 out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and you were listening to the Angel Rock with your host, me, Lorilei Potvin. But if you want to watch a show, I just go in any order here. So if you want to watch a show, please head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either on Facebook or the YouTube channel. I also have it streaming on my profile, which is open to the public, Lorilei Potvin. It's on News on the Flip Side, The Centralist. It's also on my YouTube channel, The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. Other thing is, I should tell you who I am, I guess, if you've never been here. I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, and registered nurse. I am also the host of a second show that we've started on Thursday nights here with my amazing co-host, Angel Channel and Medium David Hansel, and that's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on UPRN, as I call it, because we go by two names, either United Public Radio Network or UFO Paranormal Radio Network. Also, UFO Paranormal Radio Network has a Roku channel, so we are on TV. So I'm not airing this show on it. I've been doing it with the Thursday night show, but there's all kinds of great content on there, great hosts, great shows. How you find it, you sign into your Roku account. You are going to the channel store, then you're going to search UFO space P as in paranormal. There's a drop down list where about the third or fourth down, you're looking for UFO space paranormal and United Public Radio. I had to think about that for a sec. And yeah, you can watch us there. Now, if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe and tell all your friends and family. This network's been around for almost 25 years. I think it's even over 25. So we have multiple shows throughout the day and night, I believe 7 days a week now. And we're always adding new shows, new hosts, new content. And then you have oldie moldies like myself, and even some that have been here longer. But we have many of the shows over the past 25 years when we're not live, the archive server is playing. So there's always something for everybody on this network. So please check it out. Lastly, we're broadcasting with StreamYard. So if you are on Facebook and you've never, ever been using or watching something from Facebook like this, where I'd like you to go is to streamyard.com/Facebook. And all you have to do is give them permission to use your name and your picture. Otherwise, you come up as Facebook user and we have no idea who you are. There's two other options. You can choose to stay anonymous, or if you want us to know who you are as well, you can put your name behind the comment. And just so you know, I will highlight you as Facebook user up in the left-hand corner of the screen, so you know, because then we won't know who you are. As you well know, I love to add the audience and have you guys join me, and so that we can converse. That's why we're doing this, so you guys can join in with us. And tonight is no different. We have an amazing show. I want to thank my two friends here who filled in at the last minute because we did have a cancellation, and I really appreciate that. Sometimes that happens. Life happens. They've been on the show before. You know them. You love them. I'm going to start first to the beautiful lady to my left, right, I guess. I'm looking backwards here to the right. Debbie A. Anderson. She is an incredible clairvoyant medium, a channel, a spiritual teacher, a healer, an intuitive. She's the creator of her own incredible oracle decks. And I will get down to the other beautiful lady as well. Both these ladies are like sisters to me. Leigh Ann Clark. She too is a channel. She's an intuitive. She's a spiritual teacher and healer. I call her the crystal wizardress. She has the crystal architect. And I hope I haven't forgotten anything, Leigh Ann, from your list. But welcome, ladies. I'm so glad you're back on the show.
Thank you for the invite. Really appreciate it.
Yes. Yeah. So I really appreciate, we were going to try and do this anyway. So I'm so grateful that the two of you, I can do a show on my own, and I do a lot of shows on my own, but sometimes it's nice to have other people. Hello, George Lunsford, speaking of previous guests on this show. Welcome. And Debbie, you got these incredible solfeggio tones. I think we had Claudio on with is it Claudio Salvaggio is his last name?
That's right. Yes.
I have to remember his last name. It's been a while. And we did this a couple of years ago. We played them, but I'm going to turn it over to you because we're going to talk about this tonight and many other things. Don't tune out if you think this is all going to be woo-woo, really high spiritual type stuff. This is for everybody that we're talking about. And we want everybody to at least give this a try, and you're going to find out why. So Debbie, what's with these tones? How did they come to be, and so on?
Yeah, let's step back in history. It was about 2012, and Spirit shared a tonal message with me expressing that solfeggio frequencies, they can affect different vibrations, and in doing so, they help us to align our energy. So if we step back from that at the moment and think, what is vibrational energy? So it's a state of being, but everybody at some point has experienced, I know, that you go to touch another person and all of a sudden you get like a little electric shock off of them. Well, that's their vibration.
Especially walking on a carpet and the air is dry.
Or, when I'm using a mic and then I go to pass it back to the other presenter, usually that I've sparked something and created the vibration going back to them. And also, we have that within ourselves, that it just happens. We can switch on a light and get that little spark of electricity. That's what vibrational energy is. It's this little shock waves that go through us. So back in 2012, I think it was, I was given these tones, and just so everybody knows, there are already 6 frequencies. And I won't go, there are existing 6 frequencies, but what Spirit wanted to share with me, that there were 2 further frequencies that have been hidden for centuries.
Can we tell people though very quickly?
Yeah.
So what we're talking about are toning, like tones, and we're going to play this for you tonight. And then Leigh Ann, don't forget, I haven't forgotten to you because I want to hear what you think about energy as well. But go ahead, Debbie. Sorry.
Yeah. So each frequency, each tone, if you like, and for anybody that does yoga or has done any listening to meditation music, sometimes you'll hear these frequencies and they'll say it's to expand your consciousness or to relieve your fears, to repair DNA, and all of those. So each one
to open your third eye is the big one.
Yes.
I hear these all the time. Yep.
Yeah, so we've all used them in, well, not all, a lot of people have used them in meditations and things like that, and people that do yoga and any of the frequency listening. So they shared in 2012 that there were 2 other frequencies that had been hidden. Now, I'm not going to go into all the history because it becomes like, sorry, that's me. So anybody who wants to know.
That's my alley, though. I like going down those kind of investigations.
Yeah. So So back in 2012, when I was given these extra frequencies, we were saying when 1 to 6 and then 7 to 8 are all placed in one, it helps bring everything back into balance. It's what was shared with me. It's like creating the final link to our ascension. Now, ascension, people think of going up and away, but our ascension is actually in our being. So the 7th frequency is our connection with heaven and earth. And if you think about it, some people say, well, this is hell on earth. Well, yeah, it can be hell on earth and it can be heaven on earth. So if that frequency was balanced for us, imagine how that would change our perception. And then the 8th frequency, I was told, which rebalances the universe. So here's that 7th frequency that helps us connect with heaven and earth. And then that 8th frequency that helps us rebalance the universe. And so as far as I'm concerned, the tones, Claudio worked with us and he created these in sounds. And when we go to play them later, you will need to have headphones on because you won't hear some of the very quiet tones because there are different frequencies there. So anyway, that hopefully that hasn't lost anybody. And if anybody has any questions about it, please pop it in the chat there. And if you guys have any questions.
Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit here because I want to, Leigh Ann, like I say, I refer to her as the crystal wizardress because I love crystals, but believe me, that's one of the things Leigh Ann and I bonded over years ago, crystals and the Akashic Records. So one thing I'm going to add to, I really believe human beings are meant to live in balance. That's why we live in this duality of hot and cold, light and dark, or light and dark, whatever, right? So when we're in balance, that's kind of when everything seems to just be going hunky-dory, if you will. Life just seems to flow. But Leigh Ann, what's your thoughts on energy? Like, what do you think about this? What do you want to add to this conversation in the way of what Debbie was explaining?
where my mind went listening to her was I was thinking about when you use a biofeedback machine.
Okay.
And it
You
sends
might have
the
to
tone.
explain that. Some people may not know what that is.
So a biofeedback machine is where they will connect both your wrists, both your ankles, and your forehead with, well, I don't know what they are,
Electrodes?
but anyway, contacts. And so they will send frequencies into your body, and it will basically take a snapshot of like what's going on, where are you out of balance, and then where you need balance, it sends frequency in, and it is fascinating. I've had it done twice, but that's what I was thinking. It was like, oh yeah, you just need, whether you can hear it or see it or you can feel it, that frequency comes in and balances.
Now, for people who listen to this, because I know some people go, oh, this is all woo-woo BS. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Because if you go down to a science background, I always tell people being a nurse, having a bachelor of science in nursing, I forgot to mention that you also do epidemiology as well. Leigh Ann, are you used to in your muggle life or the muggle life part of it all? We all had muggle jobs. But if you go back to it, right, everything is energy on this planet, whether you want, it's not a woo-woo principle, it's been proven through science. So if everything is energy, one of the laws of energy is it can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred from one place to another, right? So when, I know you ladies know this, and many of you in the chat may know this, but for those listening that may not have heard this, so you're going to be thinking, well, why should this bother me? I don't do this kind of stuff. I have a 9-to-5 job. I go do all this stuff, right? We don't all have perfect lives. Every single one of us has something in our life that could either use a little healing, could be tweaked in a little way. And I think that as a population globally, we are starting to recognize slowly how powerful our thoughts, our words, and our emotions are, but also what people I think are starting to wake up to is what we're talking about here is not new. Like Debbie said, some of these tones are ancient, but also think about the music that you listen to. Think about when you're in an elevator, when you're in a store, and when you start researching this, you actually recognize that a lot of the tones, the megahertz, if you will, have actually been changed. And it's not actually the most ideal thing that we should be listening to that would help keep us in balance, would help with healing, would help all of these things. I see Leigh Ann nodding. Do you want to add something? I know Debbie does too. So whoever wants to jump in here.
Oh yeah, I think we had a conversation about this recently, that somewhere in history, actually a few points in history, they changed the musical standard from
That's where I was going. Thank you.
Oh, I picked up what you were putting down.
We're in sync.
And
all of us.
Yeah, I was just going to say ditto because it is.
Yeah, and it was changed between like 1892 and like 1944. So it was changed a few different times, but it was changed to 440 hertz, which isn't a very what do you call it, imbalance, bringing together kind of frequency, but there you are.
It's not ideal. Hi, Lizzie McLeod. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Michelle. I want to say hi to everybody here. Sorry, go ahead, Leigh Ann.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So say hi.
Go ahead, Debbie.
We all, there's certain things that, like when we listen to music, we all have different things we like to listen to. Now, there's different times I like to listen to different types of music, and there's a couple of Gregorian type chants. If anybody's heard of the group Lesium, that's a German group, and they have these beautiful, almost rhythmic sounds. And then I love rock and roll, but there are certain sounds.
That's why we wear rock t-shirts at Angel Rock.
Yeah, and certain sounds that we all like to listen to at certain times. Like, I don't think I could meditate to Metallica, but
I could not either.
I've never tried. So, but again, if I'm outside, or for me, housework is not my go-to what I love. So I love to put on really good rock and roll. And that way it gets me through my housework. So music sounds either irritate us, or they soothe us, or they balance us. And I think that's something that we all can attune to, if you like, and understand that there are certain types of music, certain types of sounds. Even sometimes if there's a certain person talking to you in a tone that is like, it either feels like nails down a chalkboard, or we feel that we're connected with them. So, you know, that's how important, you know, the vibration of sound is to all of us.
So Jennifer says, I used to listen to Metallica on my way to work. I'm a nurse too. Wow, lots of synchronicities. I'm sure we're going to see in the chat. Definitely. But what I wanted to say, even about sound, like I was just talking about things that we're not even aware of, like in the plate, like, and for people that aren't able to hear, there are people like that. There's things like cochlear implants, or some people are unable to hear, and that's when their other senses become much more in tune. But for those of us that are using our hearing sense, what I'm finding is we filter out so much. And I guess maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive with my son having autism. I try to explain to people, it's almost like you have no filters, right? So we get so much sound coming in, and we don't even pay attention to a lot of it. We filter it out. But we're even seeing in the oceans that there is a lot of research being done with noise pollution and the effect on the animals in the water. And I don't think that we're meant to be bombarded with all of this sound. And where I was even going to go with this is, you know, I'm not a classical music. Hi, Jonathan. Welcome. I'm not a classical music aficionado, but there is something when you plug in classical music, even infants in the womb, babies, elderly, even with dementia, whatever it may be, it has one of these incredible, soothing, peaceful tones, right? Like I don't know about I'm sure that you ladies will agree with me, right? Like I'm not sure what it is. Go ahead, Leigh Ann.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, some of my meditations with crystals and having on a piece of classical music, I have had pages of where I have described music as vibration and energy, and humans are the same as vibration and energy, and just the details of describing people and orchestra, the notes, the instruments, and it's like, wow, just wow. But yes, it just takes you to another place.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there, because I know for myself, I used to hear this years ago, and it used to drive me insane when people would say, you've got to raise your vibration. And I'd be like, what the heck is vibration? Do you want to start with that one, Debbie? And then Leigh Ann, you can throw anything in. I know what it is now, but back then.
Well, everything, we are a living being, okay? What we think, what we see, what we say, what we don't say, what we feel is emanated through us. Okay, we've only got to, like, we've all experienced this. We've walked into a room and you could cut the tension with a knife.
I knew you were going to say this.
Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. But you can feel it. So that's the vibration, if you like, the waves that are coming out. Or you can walk up towards somebody and you're like, wow, I really want to get to know this person. Because we feel it, we sense it. So this is the vibration of the energy that is within each of us. So, you know, as I always say, the more we think, the more we say, the more we do, the more we are, is what the vibration, we're like a heartbeat. Think of your heart beating in your body, which all of us have that. It's a pulse. And when we are running, that pulse gets faster. And when we're meditating, it gets slower. So that's, we feel that vibration within us. And if we take it one step further, and we're talking about music, of course, think of all the shows that we watch, whether it's a movie, whether it's a TV show. The people that put the music in there create either the tension as we're going into the scary bit. So that creates a pulse, a reflection within ourselves. And we start to feel anticipation or frustration or fear or whatever, or when something's loving and kind and the kind of music. So if you
or
think
sad movie,
sad movie. So we pick up those vibrations because we're attuned to them based on what we have learned, what we have understood. Okay.
I
And
think you have
want
a natural,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to say intuition, but it's like a sensor built within. And I think, again, I don't usually talk like this, but going back to the womb from almost conception, as soon as hearing develops, we hear sound, we hear a heartbeat, we hear all of this stuff. Leigh Ann, I know you want to add something, so go ahead.
Oh, no, no. No,
I know these ladies so well. I can just feel when they're going to say something.
No, the only thing I was thinking again, like the vibration again with the homeopathy and using the biofeedback machine was just the same thing of everything has a vibration that it should be vibrating at. And if it's off, it can be corrected. It can be balanced. It can be, corrected.
That's what I'm thinking, though, is what's a lay term we could maybe, unless you have one or spirit gives one of us it, that we could use for vibration for people? Because I think this would be really good too for people newly awakening to spirituality.
Let's throw this out to the audience.
Okay. I was thinking, that's why I put it out there too. I was thinking if anybody
I would like it.
Thanks, Jonathan. Jonathan just shared it to his JK47 page. I'm going to give you a shout out, Jonathan. Jonathan is one of the hosts on Talking with the Source with AJ Capasso and Robin Haffern, who is from Haffern Paranormal. And I've been on their show many times. And boy, oh boy, are you guys promoting those clips. I wasn't even supposed to be on that show. And I just happened to be free. Robin asked me. Robin's usually here. He's over in the UK. And he messaged me and I said, if you'd asked me a half hour before, I would have said no, but I'm free. And I kept trying to talk about all the spooky ooky stuff. I thought that's what we were talking about. And we ended up talking about the afterlife and reincarnation and past lives and things like that. So thank you for doing that, you guys. I appreciate it. And he just shared. No, you know, when you were talking about this, so like the reason why we're having this discussion too, because, and you ladies know we talked about it before, is because, and we've all met people, and this is said with no judgment, but some people want nothing to do with this type of topic because they think it's not applicable to themselves, but it's applicable to everybody. So if people can't connect with energy, can neither be created nor destroyed, or some of the things we're talking about. I always like to look at the human body, and I use my nursing every day. And of course, I'm not a doctor. I don't tell people that, nor do I diagnose or prescribe. But when somebody contacts me, that's a friend or a family member, and they're having a health issue, I can tell you right away. I run through, I think I've told both you ladies this before, but I start at the head. I go through the whole body in my mind, what's going on, what's connected to what. But we are one giant battery, whether people believe this or not. We are. Our heart is a battery. It runs on, if you will, an ion pump with potassium and chloride and sodium and all of these chemical elements that our bodies make. The human body is an incredible marvel when you look at it in its perfection. And many people think of it as, we're the hardest on ourselves with that inner talk and that inner voice, but we really are a marvel, every one of us. I don't think that they can ever create a human being, as hard as they may, depending on what they're trying to create in AI and stuff, they'll never create a human being, yet we can do that. We can create lives ourselves. So super incredible. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is think about people that are ill. Right. And we all do healing work, but I know one of the things I use is the secret language of your body and how in tune our body is to our emotions, things that we've hung on to, things that we have not healed, all kinds of things. And what people also don't realize is the thoughts that we have, the words that we have, and the emotions that we have not only affect ourselves, they affect our environment. They can affect people around us, people halfway across the world. I don't know, Debbie, if you want to share maybe with some of the hurricanes where you are and what I'm not saying this in an egotistical way, but I think as a collective, what we've been able to do and other people have as well. Do you want to share?
When you were saying about our bodies, like what we think within ourselves is something that we deal with personally, but it also comes outwards because we know if somebody's in a really bad mood and we haven't spoken to them, we just know they're in a bad mood. And we're sort of, how do we deal with this? Do I go in and say, is everything okay? Do I mind my own business? Do I keep on walking because I don't want to get in their tsunami kind of thing? And so that's where vibration's coming in. So when you were saying about the hurricanes, like we're in tropical hurricane season where I am from mid-August through to the beginning of October is hurricane season. But going back some years ago, I was visiting family in Australia, and there was a big hurricane coming down, or they call them cyclones in Australia. It was coming down the coast of Queensland, and it had already hit several areas. And we were, at that time, my husband and I, we were staying on a ranch with some friends of ours.
You got to give Chris a shout out. He's been on here before.
Yeah. Chris Lee. Chris Lee is my other half.
Future life regressions. He's amazing, right? I think he is.
He is absolutely amazing.
We all know.
So anyway, that's a different story. So because the farmers need to know where to put their stock and so forth, they have a minute by minute projection of where these cyclones are coming. And the family we were staying with is saying they had to move the cattle up higher ground and so on, because the cyclone was going to hit them. And we'd already had rain. Don't get me wrong, there was rain already. But when the cyclone hits, it can devastate everything. So I said to the person, so where would be an area that I could push this away from coming down? And he said, well, you can't do that. I said, no, I want to send it out into the ocean. Show me a map of where I can send this to in energy. And of course, he's looking over, he's a farmer, for goodness sake. He's a farmer, very grounded. His life is very spiritual. And, he was open-minded. So we went, he said, well, if you take it this way, I said, okay, so I just need to visualize that in my head. So he said, okay, all right, and he just left me to it. So I went away and meditated, and his wife came and we meditated together, and she got a few of her other healing friends that were on board. And I said, look, let's just see this storm being pushed out into the ocean where it's not going to hurt anybody. And so we did this up to the point where we all fell asleep and went to bed. And the next morning, I got up and I said, how bad will we hit? And he said, come with me. I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong?
Made a believer of them.
And he took me to the screen and he said, I can show you minute by minute what happened and where we are now. Because it was raining outside, but it wasn't bad. And what had happened where they lived, the cyclone was coming down, and then all of a sudden it just went out into the ocean, went down a bit and came down further in Queensland. It did hit landmass a little bit further down. We hadn't anticipated that. So that was really one of the first times that I'm like, okay, we have the ability to be able to shift the weather, but it has
I'm glad you said
right
we,
intention.
so it's not,
Yes.
You don't have to be spiritually connected. We
No.
all have this
We
power.
all have it. We all have this power, because some of the people that were involved in this said, I didn't know I could do this. So I said, all you've got to do is visualize this storm, and you can have the storm however you feel it going out into the ocean away from where you live. And, so it surprised a lot of people. Everybody was quite impressed. So I've been doing that a lot where I live now in Mazatlan in Mexico, because the last two hurricanes that came to us, we had rain. Yes, we had a little bit of flooding, but no damage. And of course I smile because I've got a lot of people on board that do this weather shifting with me as soon as we know that a hurricane is coming in. And then people say, it's really incredible the way, and Chris goes, it was Debbie, it was her fault, and I'm like, doesn't matter. It's the intention. That's the thing. We can't do it to shift it because we want to have a barbecue that day and we want clear skies. It has to be for the good of man, womankind.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be with purpose, and it has to be of pure heart. So we can't have a hidden agenda.
Yeah, so it's service to others rather than service to self.
Yeah.
And it's done in love with the highest of good. Just let me give a few shout outs here. We've got Z Sun Dragon, which is Kevin. He's out in the East Coast in Canada. And we've got Pam Harris. She says, hello, ladies. Hope you're all well. And Sandra Sharp says, that's what I like to do. And Sandra says, also, I've been doing that since I was a child, and I taught my son to do it too. Love it.
Well done.
Did you want to add something, Leigh Ann?
Oh, yeah. So I actually do that around my house and my neighborhood. And I actually was kind of wondering with the boundaries of it, like, okay, don't damage my house, my property. And then I'm like, well, maybe my street. Well, then maybe the neighborhood. And then I'm like, well, how about 3 miles? No, 7 miles. Then I'm like, whoa, where do I stop? I mean, it was just like, because I don't want to send it to anyone else because I'm landlocked. I'm not, so I'm like, oh, I don't want to send it to
Take your
someone else.
path of least resistance out, away, far away where there's no people.
You could
So I
take it
basically
off.
say,
You could take it
I
off.
guess because I usually will. Okay, because I usually will say something like no damage, just no damage to humans and animals like that. Property to So I've done that, and I actually did it last night, and I really was concentrating on projecting out. And so this evening, I haven't had any rain yet. They're all they're just whoop going around. Whoop,
But
going
I
around.
remembered once you were mentioning this, Debbie, about a big hurricane coming, and we forget to ask our friends, right, that believe in this and know this, because I think that when we do it as a collective and we focus it, it just multiplies the energy. And neither energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred from one place to another. And when it collectively gathers, and I'm getting the vision right now from spirit, even taking a bottle of soda or pop, depending on what you refer to, a carbonated drink with a lid on, and you shake and shake and shake and shake. Eventually it's got to go somewhere. It's got to burst out, right? That's collectively, almost, you keep gathering more people, and it just makes it incredible what happens. So, go ahead.
Similar when we do healing, when we send out healing prayers, when we do it as a collective and people get together and they all pray, if you like, or they meditate, or they see that person in a healthy way. I always say already healed prayers. That's what my mantra is for somebody. It's the power of one is amazing, but a power of 10,000 people. That's why when they have these huge group meditations that everybody's doing in their individual little room, their house, their car, whatever, but they're all collectively doing it at a time with the same intention of how things can shift and change. And that's something we forget.
We do. We do. And I think you said something really powerful, Debbie, that we forget, that if you're working, and again, I think it's sort of, there's the laws of the universe, but I think what it's also about as a human being here, never mind learning lessons and soul evolution and what have you, but we're also here to live in balance. But I also believe part of why we're meant to be here is service to others, not service to self. Now, there are people that have service to self, and I always say it's not my job to judge, right? We have the choice. But I think that when we, it's such a gift to yourself. I'm going to tell a quick little story. It was Thursday actually, and I had a show with David. And of course I had to run out. I'm the grocery person, everything. I run out. And the show's at 7:00, and this is getting to be 10 after 6, and I'm leaving. And as I'm walking to my car, I see in my window a man completely unconscious, slumped over by a mailbox right by the store. I came out and I went, oh, crap, I don't have time for this. And so I go in the store. So I got a dog here. I go in the store. Come off of there. There we go. And I talked to the security guard and I said, excuse me, could you please call 911? You have a gentleman slumped, over. I can't do that. And I said, what? I said, never mind. I'll do it myself. So I did. And I'm on the phone with 911. They've got my number and everything. And I'm going, listen, I have to go to work. I'm not going to explain I'm a podcaster. And I said, thank you. And I see the ambulance coming. There's a crowd around. And I tell them, please just wave them over. And I still have to run to Walmart to grab something. So as I'm leaving, coming out of the store, this is serendipity. This gentleman comes up to me, because now you have to put $1 in the cart, or a loonie, as we call them in Canada. And you bring the cart back to get your loonie. He goes, can I bring your cart back? And I said, you can, but I need the loonie back. I saved that so I can get a cart. And I look again and I go, weren't you just lying on the pavement over there like 10 minutes ago? He goes, yeah. And he says, I'm homeless. And I said, I'm very sorry
Aw.
about that. He was First Nations gentleman. And
Mm.
he says, I sleep out in public because it's safer than sleeping in the woods. That I did not believe, but not my job to judge. And then what he did was he apologized. I felt so bad. He said, I'm so sorry if I scared you. And I said, you didn't scare me. I said, I'm just glad you're okay. I have run into this man every day I've gone there. He now sees me and what have you. But where I'm going with this is I didn't have the time to help this man. I didn't save him. I just made a phone call. I think somebody else called. But, that you run into them and you see that someone's okay. But where I'm going with this is, when we do things that are kind for others, I think that it's more of a gift for self than it is, for anybody else. I don't know. What do you ladies think? I'll let Leigh Ann go first. Poor Leigh Ann's been sitting there patiently.
No, I'm
Let me
patiently.
I
Maybe
talk
not.
lots.
I kind of wonder where it's going with you and this man. Like where are you meeting
I
him?
ran into him again today, and he remembered
Okay.
me.
Yes. No, it was like that's what I was thinking. It was like, wow, that's interesting.
I keep running into him, so there has to be a reason. And he came up to me today, and he's with some pretty scary, unsavory characters in the corner. But this man is perfectly harmless, and I think he's just had a very rough life and has not been dealt great cards. And you know what? I think everybody deserves kindness, unless you need to worry about your safety or anything. But there was nothing. I think that's the other thing we have too that we don't always pay attention to. Sorry, I'm going to let you finish. Is we have a built-in intuition meter to tell what's coming off of people. Go ahead, Leigh Ann. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I have a story I can share too that happened in the last couple of months. It's been really hot here. Like we'll have a couple of weeks. It's near 100 for 5, 6, 7 days, and then it goes back down. So it's just been really hot.
I think we can all relate.
Yeah.
Unless poor Michelle, she's in Australia, so it's cooler over there.
And I had a car park in front of my house, and I live up on a hill, so it's not like it's right in my door, in my face. And I'm like, what? And I was really agitated, like, what in the? What? Everybody parks in front of my house. What is this? I mean, I was getting just really
annoyed,
pissy, really pissy. Yeah, and I thought, okay, let's just see what this is. And it ended up being 2 teenagers that had car trouble.
Oh,
well, okay. Yeah. And so I ended up going down and asked like what, what's going on with you and all this. And I had nothing I could help them with, but I'm just like, can I offer you water? And they're like, no. I said, okay. So I came back an hour later. And anyway, they were there for over 3 hours. And wow. I mean, I kept coming back and said, can I offer you water? I said, I have been stuck so many times on the side of the road. No one's ever helped me. I said, I can't leave you here. Can I at least offer you water? I'm like, can I give you something? I'm like, I can't just leave you here. So finally they're like, yes, ma'am, I'll take some water. But their mom came. Their mom finally came and they got assisted and were on their way. But it was about 3.5 hours. And I'm like, I can't just leave you here. I just can't. So I'm like, at least take something. But yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Okay, we're sharing a little bit, and I'm not getting away from. And whenever maybe if you're okay, I usually do kind of a station ID around the top of the hour. If you want, maybe right after that, we can play the tones. Debbie, what do you think?
Perfect. If everybody's ready, yep.
What I wanted to ask you was that. So, how could these tones, with people playing them, help them in everyday life? And when we were talking about this. Before we went live, I had said that, my thought is anybody, why not, if things aren't going well, and there are many people that life has been very difficult, we hear from them, we see it, people post it, they share it. How can this just help people just to give it a chance? Like if nothing else is going right, but how could it help them?
Well, this was the conversation we had earlier, because I said, I don't know. And I don't think it's for any of us to say, well, this will help you with prosperity, or this will help you with this, because when we come into balance with what our body needs, a bit like when a healing happens, each person is different, and the healer will work on that person based on maybe they know that they have a heart problem or they have a knee problem or something like that. Well, what if we don't know what we need? What if we don't know, truly? But by listening to these tones, it just helps us to come into a different balance. I'm not saying into balance, but a different balance. What if that is something that can happen? And as I always say to people, what's the worst thing that would happen? Nothing. What's the best thing that could happen? It could change things for you. Now, when I first had these tones before Claudia was able to put them in, we into individually playing and then overtoning, over layering with each other. I sent it to a couple of people and I said, what does it do for you? Like, give me a help.
People want to know where they're going to invest their time, right?
Like, and they're like, well, I felt calmer. And one person said, I felt more alert. And another person said, well, I don't know, but I feel different. So it's not like the Band-Aid over there that's going to fix everything. I think it's there that we have this opportunity to see what it will do for us. And you don't have to just listen to it once. Once it's posted on the show, you can listen to it indefinitely. And I wish I had somebody, maybe I'm supposed
let's put it out there. Let's put it out there.
Somebody to do these levels, the hertzes, as you say, or the tones, to be able to do them with singing bowls. So if there is somebody out there that can do this, because the tones are just being created by machine. And so for some people listening to them, they go, oh, it's a bit harsh. But when you listen beyond the sound, that's the resonance that's going into the vibration. But if I could find something to take all of those, and that's always been my request to Spirit. Can you find somebody that can just take these numbers and create them using singing bowls to make it different? So maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Maybe it's not. So I'm a great believer. And when we were talking about it, because when there'd been a meditation that I'd had, and I kept on seeing almost like a honeycomb kind of shape that was being created. So if we think of this, and I think it was an octagon, I'm trying to remember now, it was 8.
Now let's talk about these shapes, because we've all gotten some info together on what this shape looks like. So go ahead with the honeycomb. And Leigh Ann, didn't you get like something when I shared it with you, you felt like it was like more of a lotus or something? But do you want to go with that first, Debbie, with the honeycomb?
Yeah, so the shape we got was, I think it was an octagon. It was 1, 2, maybe it was 7, not 8. Anyway, so when I was seeing this in my mind, I was going, what if each one of these shapes then has threads going out from it and creates another one of these and another one of these, and it just keeps on doing it. And then this is something that we create over ourselves or over our community or even over our world to protect us. I don't know. And this is where I'm in this learning curve too. When I get this information from Spirit, I speak to people like Lorilei, and I've just been recently introduced to Leigh Ann, and sort of say, well, I don't know. Maybe it's not for me to understand it. Maybe there's somebody out there that understands these shapes that I'm getting. And they were golden shapes. So you'll see that later on because we sort of combined it into the video. But this is
the one I put up is the fractal one that I did, because the one that Claudio did, it wasn't quite completed for people to visualize.
All right, okay.
But let's talk about it before, though, because what I did, everybody, and believe me, I was running, but I got it done. I was trying to find a way to screen share. If you've been on the show before, you know that I can share a visual with the audio. So it is uploaded on my YouTube channel. It will change. I just wanted it someplace where we could screen share. Leigh Ann, what did you want to add to this? Because I think you got a little bit more clarification or shape, like how it's connected, didn't you?
I did. I know I had some ideas about different shapes, and I don't remember what they were. But I did
going back through my notes, so
I know it's like I did. I remember writing something down. We shared stuff, but I don't know. But
It may be somebody else that we've worked with or that we still, we're working with it. Because I remember somebody had mentioned something about a lotus possibly too, right? But for me, like a web kept coming up or a beehive or like you said, the honeycomb and the way you showed it for people listening, I know people watching may be able to see it. So you have how many? It had 6 sides, the honeycomb?
I'm trying to find my original drawing. You can tell how prepared I was to talk about this.
Well, we didn't, this was last minute, so we didn't know what we were going to talk about. I just uploaded the tones. We leave it up to spirit. I do that before every show. I just say, Spirit, where are we going with this?
Well, I know I have it jotted down in another book, which I'm just trying to get access
Well, if you can find it, don't worry if you can find it. If not, we can always share it in the show notes or wherever. And I always, as you all know, when you, if you've watched a show before, I always give our guests time at the end of the show to tell you where to find them, how to connect with them, if they've got anything coming up. And with that note, while you're looking, I'll keep talking here for a second and I'll let you know if you're just tuning in, you're listening live to the Angel Rock. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, and you're listening to UFO Paranormal Radio Network, or otherwise known as United Public Radio Network, or as we just like to call it, UPRN. I'm going to give a shout out to Joe Montaldo too, who owns the network and provides this incredible space for many of us hosts here to come to you through this network, through the internet. Well, I also want to remind you, because I get this a lot from people, if you're just tuning in now or you tune in the last minutes of the show and you go, oh no, I missed it. Guess what? You never miss it, because there is always a replay. The videos are always up on YouTube or Facebook, wherever we're streaming via video. Also, we are everywhere where there are talk shows or podcasts, talk radio covered. We are there. I guarantee you, I one time was a guest on a podcast over in Scotland on a small network, and I was looking for something. I think when I was on there, I was looking for my name to share the episode, and I just about fell over because we are streaming on that app. So I'm telling you, there's always a replay, always, always, always. Some of the best places and easiest ways to find us are over on StreamYard or even Podbean. I know that those are pretty easy to search, and you can usually find most shows on there. Did you find what you were looking for?
Obviously, it's not come up.
I did.
This is so crazy.
Okay, Leigh Ann.
Mine was a ring of diamonds. I remember like it was an octagonal, or it was a
octagon,
dodecahedron or something you guys were talking about. And then it was like, no, it's a ring of diamonds. I remember it was like a ring of diamonds. And I said, not like jewelry. It's a ring of diamonds.
Okay.
And it's like a ring of diamond light or something. But it was like, I had that written down. So
yeah. And all I found is my sort of short drawing that I had done when I was trying to explain to Claudio how to create them into fractal connections. So that is
no worries about it, because we'll find it and we'll post it in the show notes on my page. I can even share it on YouTube here. Like I said, that quick video on my channel was just put up like 5 minutes before we went live. I uploaded it, and it's going to get changed and edited so we can. I gave credit to Debbie, because Debbie's the one that channeled it from Spirit. So I know I'm going to put a lot more notes up there and what have you. So we'll figure it out. And you're going to know how to get a hold of us anyways by the end of the show. So you can certainly connect with one of us once we were able to locate it. But the one thing I did want to add also, and then we'll play the tones for you, is that for people looking at this, I love what you just said, Debbie, about the fact that, rather than going in with an expectation that this is a Band-Aid or it's going to fix something, just being open to the possibility of it may just shift something for you, because most people don't realize that, and I believe this, and I'm sure you're going, both of you, to agree with me, there's a reason why animals can see spirit and connect with them as well as small children, right? They live in the now. They're not encumbered with all the things that we focus on as adults usually. But the other thing is too, is that people, we all use our imagination. And as children growing up, most of us, not all of us, but most of us, myself included, are told that, you're too old, you're getting too old for that, that there's no such thing as that, or that's just your imagination. But when you said what you did earlier, both of you have mentioned this, I think, tonight about, using the power of the focus of the mind. And what people don't realize is how powerful our thoughts, our words, and our emotions are. I say this all the time. And for people that maybe don't connect with this, I'll give you a scenario. You've got a person that maybe has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. There's no other option or availability open for them until they see maybe another or third or fourth specialist. They get lucky and they're having, all these different opinions. Everybody's come up with the same thing. The last one they see says, except there's this new study out there. It's a blind study, so you never know what you're going to get. You could get the placebo and or the sugar pill. It could be known to the people, or you could get the drug. But the people that are getting the drug, they're being cured. So if somebody is very vested in that and really, really, really believes they're going to get this drug, they take it and the disease is completely gone. Okay, by the end of it, when the study is what we call in the research world, I know Leigh Ann will connect with this, but it's unblinded. So you find out what you got and you find out you got the sugar pill. Okay, maybe this happens with quite a few people. So we can even maybe start to prove to people that this just wasn't a miracle or what people like to call a coincidence, right? So what did it? Could you be open to the thought that these people believe so strongly that they received this miracle drug, that's what cured them, right? And it can happen, and we see this, and there's research to prove this, that there's a reason why placebos work. Somebody's being told they're being given morphine for pain, and they're given a saline injection, and they really, really believe it's going to work, or whatever that may be. It will work. And there are countless research studies out there. Where I'm going with this is the power of your mind and how powerful we are, why the law of attraction works, why we create our reality, whether we believe it or not. And there's going to be people out there saying, my life is crap, I live in hell on earth. Maybe that's about your perspective and the way you look at things, right? So even giving something like this a chance to listen to it, to be open to the possibility that it may shift something for you. What have you got to lose? And I'd love to hear you ladies have something to add. Hi, Zach. Welcome.
And just I remember now it was 8 sides, just so that it's
and
an
Michelle
eight-sided
Pat
shape.
said
So
power of Michelle Pat kept
she
saying,
did.
I know. And perfect. Thank you. I truly believe that, people go to me, well, you have such a wonderful life. You're so lucky.
I know. Everybody thinks rainbow poop on growing in our yards. And no.
We've all, I'm not just me, like, it's not about me. We've all been given challenges, as I call them. Challenges, opportunities, whatever you label them, but they are not curses. They are not, the whatever people call them. They're a challenge, because this is why we're here on earth. Truly,
it's your work. It's your work.
To work
on Earth School. Earth School, right?
Yeah, it's not good nor bad. It's your work. It's your work.
It's when we're in spirit, we're just in that whole non-emotional energy. When we're here, we are sent to school to understand, accept, experience energy. We're here to find all these different emotions that are thrown at us, because sometimes they are. And I always say there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we've all been through it. Okay, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it's what we do with it once we've moved through it. Okay, when we're in it, it's like being in the eye of the storm. You're just spinning. You're just moving at such pace that you don't have that calmness. When you go into the eye of the storm, you go into that calmness. That's when you can see the reality of it. Like, I've almost died at the hands of a person that said they loved me. I mean that sincerely. After that had all gone past, I forgave that person. And everybody's like, well, how can you forgive somebody that literally almost killed you? And I said, because if I don't forgive them, then I will carry that junk with me, that pain, that anger, that frustration, that hurt for the rest of my life. I always call it the law of the garbage truck. When we load it onto our back and carry it with us, guess who it's taking down? Us, you, nobody else. And
Well, or you allow them to live rent-free in your head. And you can bet that a lot of these people are not thinking about us. We might be thinking and ruminating and carrying it. And the beauty in it is, I'm going to turn over to Leigh Ann in just a second and we'll play the tones, is the fact that when we allow it to be released, if you will. Now, you don't have to forgive what they did to you. Yes, that was awful. What someone who said they loved you did what they did to you. But you forgive them. You let it go. You sever it. You let it go. It makes room for something bigger and better to move into your life. It always does. You just got to look at perspective, look back, stand back. Sometimes it takes time and you go, holy cow. If I had been still in that situation, I might still not be here, but never mind. Look who you're with now. You have a beautiful life. You have a beautiful husband. Like, you wouldn't have been with them, right?
Exactly. And every step of our journey, we had the choice to, and I love the movie Sliding Doors. It's an old one with Gwyneth Paltrow, Sliding Doors. You either go left or you go right. And each journey can take you on a journey. Will it cross? Will it interconnect again? Who knows? But yeah, the truth of what you've just said there is, many years ago, my parents divorced when I was 4 years of age. And my mother, for many, many years, and I think still to this day, still hates my father. And it wasn't until many, many years later that I reconnected with my father. And I said to him, Dad, I'm just curious. Do you feel this, do you think of Mom at any time? He said, no, how's she doing? And that was just right in that split second, I realized she has spent this whole lifetime of hers in this anger, in this pain that only she has created and creates this vortex around her. And my father, he's like, no, how's she doing? Is she doing well?
I wish her well. It's over. It didn't work out, and away we go. What did you want to add, Leigh Ann? Oh, go ahead, Debbie. Finish your story now. Let Leigh Ann. Sorry.
No. That's it. That's basically
that's
it.
Powerful, and I'm so grateful you shared that. Thank you.
You're
what
welcome.
did you want to add, Leigh Ann? Leigh Ann's always so patient because she knows I talk lots, and both Debbie and I love to talk. And Leigh Ann's always so patient. She always has these words of wisdom that come out.
Yeah, because I just lay back, and then I get to sound all cerebral. Yeah. No, but there's so many experiences in my life where I held on to something for way too long. Fear, anger. I mean, I didn't realize how much anger I had, and I don't even know where did it start? Where did it come from? I don't know, because I certainly don't think I had a bad life, But anyway, just hanging on to something for way too long, and then when finally letting it go, no longer thinking about it, it's like, gosh, I wish I'd done that sooner. But then it's like, well, good, I don't have to do that anymore. At least, like, okay, that's done. Now it's done. Yeah.
But it comes like, I have a lot of stored anger. Now, do I feel it? No, I think it's repressed. But what people forget is our body, because it's energy, will store it. I have major liver problems, and where we store a lot of liver issues or a lot of anger issues is in our liver. And I know it, and I'm unraveling it, and it comes from childhood. And anger is not a bad emotion. There is no bad emotion. We're here to feel emotion and understand them and learn about them. But when we develop, say, a fear of it or whatever, right? Then we hang on to it, and it's like, just like guilt, people will say it's eating me up inside, or all of these emotions, right? Especially the ones that we may consider on a vibration scale, lower vibrational. We gotta process it, we gotta feel it, we gotta go through it, and then release it, right? Otherwise we store it and it sits there. And believe it or not, some of them can just fester. Heck, we could another show, maybe one time I'll do it, but they've looked into cancer, and this is with no blame on anybody. It's a horrible disease being a nurse, but they're really looking into the emotional aspect of where cancer is coming from and how it grows and what it does. And again, it sounds really woo woo, but you start looking into the research and stuff and you go, holy cow. I want to read some of the comments here, and then if you ladies are okay, maybe we will play those tones. So Shannon, who is also a nurse, says we had a patient years ago who would always demand pain meds crushed in pudding. When the patient would be maxed out with their medications, we would just give the pudding. The patient believed they were getting pain meds and settled.
Yeah.
Now, not tricking, you can't give the person any more medication, and for whatever reason, without judgment, they may need it. So you appease them, and they feel that they've had it, right? What did it? Did the body release endorphins accordingly because they believed it? Right? It works. Now I'm going to read a few more comments. Sandra Sharp says about grudges. Grudges are poison that only harm the poisoner. I thought that said prisoner. I was thinking it does create a prison.
Yeah, that is.
And Zach says, I have a no vacancy sign in my mind for grudges. I like that.
Yay, good idea. Yeah, clean out your closet.
Clean out your grudge closet. But if we hold a grudge, isn't it our path too? If that makes sense. What do you think? I think that's a good. Michelle always asks these deep questions. She really
I like
does.
that, Michelle. It could be something from a past life that we are now the grudger, if that's a word. We're the one holding the grudge, whereas before it's the other. Because in past lives, and this is not my field of expertise, that's Chris's field. We've been male, female, good, bad, and so on. So if that is our path, then fine. But what if we identify that's what it was and then move on from that? It doesn't mean to say that we have to hold it.
And that's where I'm going with it. So.
Yeah, it could be brought forward from a past life. It could be part of what we're supposed to do. But once we've identified it and dealt with it, and I mean, when I say dealt with, we've acknowledged it, then why we can't let it go, I don't know.
Lesson is in it. That's the question I'm going to ask when you ask if we hold a grudge, isn't it our path? I think that everything we experience, there's a lesson. Go ahead, Leigh Ann, I see you. Go ahead.
But what if we hold a grudge isn't our path too? What if you didn't hold that grudge? Isn't that your path too?
Yeah.
Multidimensional. Think of both. What if? What if not?
Yeah. I know
go ahead, Deb. Go ahead.
I know from the experiences that I have gone through, and I call them experiences, opportunities, challenges, whatever you like. Everyone has taught me something, whether I'm not going to do it again, definitely, or, okay, now I can identify the possibility of what this has taught me. And that's not saying I'm holier than thou, but we've all had experiences. I can remember when my son was small, just the experience of, we had an open fire. And my son, like small children, little tots, are always fascinated by open fires. And he said to me, what happens, if I put my hand in there? So I said, well, okay, let's experience this together. So I took his little hand and moved it closer until he said, that's hot. And I said, okay, so if we keep going, this is going to burn you. And he said, no, I don't want to keep burning. And so he now knew what fire was. So if that's an emotion or an experience, when we know what it is, do we want to keep moving into it, or do we want to say, okay, I understand this now.
I've had enough.
My life.
I love what you just said there, because I developed a course for nurses. I taught at college before I had my first son, and it was a community nursing course. And some of the best guest I ever had was a Native elder. And he talked about the culture that was being lost, and as a healing practice. He was just so incredible. He could have taught the course. I mean, he was just so incredible. I had him back numerous times. But one of the things that always stuck with me, he said, one of the things, part of our culture is And this is him speaking as part of the Ojibwe tribe, because there may be other, different tribes that may deal with things differently. But he said, what we do is, if it's not going to kill the child or seriously harm them, we tell them once. And then if they choose not to listen, we let them experience it. Because I will tell you, I hung on to that, and I very seriously have tried to do that with my children, because there's nothing worse than telling somebody over and 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 over. So the word no really has no power. And I can tell you, I'll bet you your son as an adult still remembers that experience that you helped walk him through, that I knew not to touch, rather than no, don't touch, no, don't touch, no, don't touch, no, don't touch. And that's anything in life. You don't have to be a child, but when we experience it versus someone telling us, it's just so much more powerful.
Yeah. It's we have the opportunity. Like many years ago, somebody came to me and they were talking about their ex and da 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 da. And I said, "Are you still married?" "No." "So why do you keep talking about them?" "Well, because." I said, no. Hit the because out, because we've all been there, or majority of us have been there. So I said, "What are the golden nuggets you took from that marriage?" And she said, "I don't understand." I said, "You have 2 beautiful children, correct?"
You fell in love for some reason. Like, look at why you.
Maybe this for the 2 children. And this is with my life, with this person, that I fell in love with them. I had 1 child. That was all I was able to bear, because after that I miscarried and my womb was full of fibroids, so I had to have a hysterectomy. So that was my purpose with that person. Now we have a beautiful child between us, but that was it. That was the journey that we had to make. And yes, it's taken him a long, long time, and me, to heal those wounds. But when we did, it's like there was no purpose of it. It's just like going into the shop and buying something off the shelf. And I don't mean to be cold and callous here, but when we buy that item off the shelf, is it for us? Is it for others? What are we going to get from it? Are we going to just put it in our cupboard and store it there just so it looks pretty? Or are we going to eat that product or whatever? So the analogy probably was not the most perfect one, but what I'm leading to here is, in every experience we have in life, we can take away the nuggets, the golden nuggets, with us to help us.
I agree.
As I say, the good, bad, ugly, either we're going to do it again or we're not.
Did you want to add something to that, Leigh Ann?
I recently I've been thinking about when you have these experiences in your life, let's something emotionally charged, something you can remember that someone else was like a relationship you're involved in. Think about that person chose to teach you that lesson. It's not that just that was a lesson, but oh my gosh. I mean, if you think about it from that perspective.
Absolutely.
Some of those lessons that, you received, but they had to deal them out. Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've been thinking about that lately. So
and so to the other side of the coin that we have done.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't run through as a driven snow here. We've all got past where we've done something or we shouldn't have done it. Whether it was a crime in our minds, or whether it was just something petty in our minds, we've all done it. We don't walk on in Jesus's footsteps, if you like, that we have this godlike. Because even he got angry at the sellers and upturned the tables and threw out the money people from the temple. So we all have that within us, and we all have a past, we all have a present, we all have a future.
We do, but I think we also have to learn to give ourselves grace and give grace to others. But it's a fine balance between boundaries as well, too, right? We could do another show just on all this. I want to say hi to Roger Blair. We've got here. Mark, I saw you. We were in depth in conversation. We got a lot of good comments here. I'm going to read, and then I want to play those tones, if that's okay. Because Mark,
I like what Sandra said. Sandra says, "I don't regret my 3 marriages, but while I have forgiven my exes, I never consider reconciliation or with any of them, and I understand why. Wow, you are on, girl. You got it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And then
we you know, a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Everything.
mm-hmm. And the thing she said earlier was dump the grudge and keep the lesson.
Yeah.
Now, where I was thinking, where, you know, some people's minds might possibly be going is, God forbid, somebody, people know I do follow true crime. And there's a news story that's come out. Most of us may know who Drew Carey is. He's the host of The Price is Right, even if you don't live in North America. And I didn't know this, but apparently his ex-fiance, and they just talked a day before, were going to consider reconciliation and get back together. She was viciously murdered by an ex.
Yeah.
And where I'm going with this is, how do you get past that? How do you move through it? Now, you don't have to forgive what that person did, right? But how do you move past it, right? And you can, and there are people that have, and I'm not saying, yeah, you can. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying people that have done this and been able to, you know, you need a lot of help, you need a lot of support, you need a lot of work. Never mind the fact that I don't think that ever goes away when you lose a loved one. But where I'm going with this is, you see people that have taken what's happened to them, and they have done incredible things through their pain to be able to help others, whether it's creating a support system or a network or a foundation or whatever that may be. And again, I'm not saying it with judgment, but I think those are the people. I mean, I've even seen people who have lost a loved one and actually taken the time. I don't know if either of you or anybody in the audience has seen this. There have been people who have had a loved one murdered, and they have gotten to know the young person that did it, or the person that did it, and started finding out their story and forgiving them. I've seen it numerous times. No, is it right? No. But these people they got it, is what I'm saying. They were able to do it. So regardless of what it is, and it may take time, and it's going to take it, nothing's ever going to be the same, is what I'm saying. But I think people can heal from it. You may never forgive the act, but we can forgive the person. So where was I going?
The grace of God, that is sometimes an opportunity that is given to all of us. And each of us can only deal with it in the way that we feel is right for us. I've never believed in vengeance. I've always said, karma's bitch, and she pays back good. So I just have to leave it at that.
Well, she does, but the thing is, what we put out is what we get back, right? And how many people have we all seen that have been hell-bent on revenge? Years of revenge, and then when they finally get it, they realize that they don't feel any better, and they've hurt somebody deeply, or others as well, right? Have you got thunder, Leigh Ann?
Taken.
Okay, because Kevin in his ears, he says, I'm hearing what sounds like thunder, and I was hearing it, and I'm looking back. So good old Kevin.
Yeah, it's not
here.
mine. Mine's still uncloudy.
Nobody.
It's so dark here. It's so dark here. That's supposed to be the outside right there.
Oh my goodness. Well, no, he heard it. He picked up. I had an EVP with Carrie Lynn, our new, one of our newer hosts. She's amazing. And I didn't hear it. Carrie Lynn heard it. Everybody heard it, and I didn't hear it. So when he mentioned the thunder, I thought I'd say something. I do wonder. So who was I going to say hi to? Hang on. We got somebody in here by the name of Roger, I think. And then let's get these ladies. We are already at 25 minutes after 7 my time already. That's how fast this goes. My goodness. Hi, Roger Blair. He popped in. Nice. I don't think I've seen you before. And if I have, I didn't recognize the name, but thank you to everybody that's here. I'm going to remind you, if you are listening and you want to watch and you want to be part of the conversation, like who we're addressing here, all you have to do is head over to Facebook or YouTube under the name of UFO Paranormal Radio. And it's on my YouTube channel, The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin, or I'm trying to think now where else. We're even on Canada's Most Haunted Facebook page tonight. We're all over the place. So you can just jump in there and we'll get to see your comments, and you can be part of the conversation. So if you ladies are open to it, Leigh Ann, was there anything you wanted to add? And I have to remember to include Leigh Ann, because I said we love to talk, don't we, Debbie? And Leigh Ann's always so laid back. And she just
I'm good.
Leigh Ann is the most incredible. Well, I think we all have our own gifts when we're able to connect with spirit when we make, whether by choice or not. But Leigh Ann has written some really incredible channeled messages I've seen her put through. So hang on, guys. It takes me a minute. New computer, so have patience. Okay, share screen. Come up. Come up. Okay, we've got YouTube here. So we're not going to jump pages.
So anybody listening in, put your headsets on because you'll get the resonance of the sound.
And if you can't, let's mark it in the show. We're an hour and about 15 minutes by the time it plays. Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes into the show. So if you're listening,
you want to, Lorilei, put it onto your, I don't know if there's enough space to be able to put it onto different platforms, but I am happy for that because it's not mine to own. That's why I
put it on YouTube. I gave you the credit.
Yeah.
And I put it up there so that, and I knew it was quick. I'm going to change. There'll be a whole bunch of written stuff in there and what have you. I'm going to have to put some hashtags in and people will be able to find it easier. But it is up on the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin right now. And I think what we should throw out there too, we want to be able actually to have a graphic. Isn't that what you were thinking, Debbie?
That would be nice. It would be lovely to have some graphics. And if anybody out there is able to do the different tones with singing bowls, that would be lovely because these tones, as I've explained, we had limited resources, to achieve them. And they are machine made. So they can sometimes be a little less audible, if that's the correct wording.
So I think this is quite a few minutes long. We'll start to play some of them and then depending if you want to stop or not. Hi, Jane. I'm so glad you could join us. She's over on Facebook. So hang on, guys. I got it loaded. There's not much to see, but you're mostly, let me see. Yeah, it's 9 minutes. I don't know if we'll see how long we can go here. We'll see. Yeah. There you go. We can talk over this if we have to. So if you want to say that or So that's what we're talking about. Just put a fractal graphic in the background, visualizing excited, where you got diamonds again. Okay, I paused it just for a second. I didn't know if you guys could hear me, but so as people are listening to this, what is this going to? This is just playing. I forget because I haven't listened to it in a while, Debbie. So with the 9 minutes, does it go through each tone and then it plays it together?
Yeah. It goes through a minute with each tone, and then it goes into all the tones overlaying each other.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Now, so, but for visualizing, can we talk about this? Jane, she goes, hang on. Yeah, I think you missed the beginning of this show, Jane. You said, have you discussed brainwave entrainment using binaural and trinaural beats to help balance your left and right brains? Yeah, that's not what we're doing here. So just as a quick reminder for people tuning in, Debbie received these tones. Well, you go ahead, Debbie. You can explain it.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
So originally,
if you're heading out, go ahead. Sorry.
There are 6 frequencies in the Solfeggio level, which I won't go into because 396, 417, 528, I think is, and so on and so on. So there's 6 frequencies everybody knows about. When in 2012, it was the 7th and 8th frequency that I was given. And they are 189 and 52 hertz. So that's what we actually worked to putting together. So Claudio actually did 1 minute of each one on their own. So we have going through from the 1st frequency to the 6th frequency, 1 minute of each. And then the 7th frequency and the 8th frequency, 1 minute of each. And then on the 9th one, which is the last one, that 1 minute is the overlay of all 8 frequencies.
Maybe I'll play that because I know people are just popping in. They're going to hear this
Yeah.
one. What's going on? Is this a secret language? Or take care, Michelle. Yeah, Jane, if you go back to the beginning, you'll hear it. So Claudio and Debbie were on the show, I think it was 2 summers ago, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Like I say, maybe we could share before I play. I'll just play all 9 tones together for the last, like, for 1 minute, so people don't think they got to sit through 10 minutes of this.
So,
but what were you told with spirit? Like, were you told a time period or just intuitively that this is probably a good time? Or
well, I kept on feeling, especially with everything that's going on at the moment since I was given this back in 2012. Mm-hmm. And as we moved into 2020, I'm like, well, why am I not getting somebody to be able to create this for me? And it was 2 years ago, as you say, that I reached out to Claudio, and he said, well, I can create it for you. And we thought it was August of the time. It was 2 years ago. Now, today, I think it's Uranus goes into retrograde.
We forgot to mention that.
Yeah. So tonight that goes into retrograde, and the fact that Lorilei said, can you come on the show? I'm like, okay, so maybe it's supposed to be heard today. Maybe it's just.
What did you think, Leigh Ann, when you heard this? You heard a message, didn't you, that now was the time or something? Because I had shared this with you.
Oh, yes. So what came through for me was it's time for these to be heard because of what I visual and just a lot of words is I saw old world technology and how the ethers were used for many things, and frequencies being one of them. And then the next thing I got was, it was like a valley, and it was people on horses, like it looked like people going to war. And then the next scene was a modern cityscape and people all tuned out, because how we hear tones now is mass radio communications, mass communication. And so it's broadcast at 440. It's not broadcast in a pure tone, a different frequency. And so then my message was, it's time. You need to get these tones out. It's time. It's time for this to be heard. So, yeah.
So the important part, thank you, Sandra. Sandra said, I couldn't hear you, Lorilei, during the playing of the tones, but your attempts were creating a distortion. Now that's interesting, because normally during screen sharing, you can speak and it doesn't do that. But if you've been on this show, we get all kinds of crazy, weird stuff. So I'm not sure what that was about, but the reason why I want to point this out too, and why we've been trying to, I hate air quotes, but I'm going to do it, normalize this is meant for everyone. Not just for people that are spiritually in tune or identify being into spirituality or a psychic or medium or intuitive or healer. It's meant for everyone. Is there anything you want to add to that, Debbie?
No, you covered it very well. And when Leigh Ann had said that just recently about it, because, I kept on going, okay, why have I done these? Why did you pick me, Spirit? I don't really know that many people. So why did you pick me to share this? And as we all know, there's a reason for it. We don't have to know that. We just follow through and do the work. So that was when Leigh Ann had said about she felt it was now. And you said, can you come on the show? I'm like, okay, let's just do this. So I'm open to the fact that Spirit placed these opportunities for all of us. And we just have to go with it. We're not the author, if you like. We just are the person that is there. I always say I'm just a tool. And please don't.
I call myself the mailman, even though I'm not a man.
Channel,
but that's
the tool, the whatever. So when I get these channeled messages or I get these information, what I do is then create it and then go, okay, this is to be shared with everyone. It doesn't belong to me. So.
Because, when you talked about the singing bowls, the message I kept hearing from Spirit. And hi, Nicole Thomas, Ryan. I just seen you pop in here. Nice to see you. Is that I kept hearing music of heaven, like heaven. It's not heavenly music. This would be something that when it's played all together, like, and of course it would nowhere near compare, but that is what it would almost feel or sound like if it was all done in tandem with singing bowls.
Yeah. I love it.
I think it'd be beautiful. Okay, I think I've got it to the last minute. Just so, and if you're just tuning in, so these are the Solfeggio tones that Debbie was able to receive from Spirit and what tone it was supposed to come into. And rather than having you guys sit here, because this really, I think, would be a beautiful thing. You could even put this on loop if you wanted. Put your headphones in at night if you're able to. Put it on a low tone and have it play overnight, because that's when a lot of healing happens. Now, we're not claiming this is going to heal you, but if it's going to shift or help things bring into balance, maybe that we're not aware of. And the main thing is, what could it hurt? So this is what it sounds like. Keep in mind, this is mechanical. So versus like singing tones or something. Wow. I don't know about you, anybody out in the audience. I would. Oh, hang on. This is really playing commercials. Hang on. No, we don't. Why I was doing that? That's crazy. I don't know about anybody in the audience or you guys, you ladies. I have not listened to this in a while. My heart just started pounding, and I could literally feel, like, not in a bad way, but like things were shifting within me. I don't know. And I'm not saying this because I'm trying. There's nothing to sell here, people. I'm just sharing with you how I felt. What did you think?
I had the same, like my heart's pounding. The visual is, it was like one of those woven pot holders you made when you were a child. Everything was woven together. That was it. It was just, that's the visual.
For me, it was almost like fractal mirrors going out. So that was that's what I sense every time, these sort of little splinters of a mirror going out into the universe and then coming back in and creating one mirror and then going back out again. That was what I was getting, like fractal. So
let us know in the audience if you guys felt anything. Now, again, there's going to be a big difference having your headphones plugged in. And you don't need to listen to it that loud. I have the volume turned up so that you guys can hear us while we're speaking. But that was just a minute. So Nicole says, let's hear what she says. Okay, you're going to show there? It doesn't want to show for me. Hang on. At first, I didn't like the sound, but then it was relaxing. And you tuned in just at the sort of the tail end of things, Nicole, because that's everything played together. So it would never be played that loud. But I'm glad you shared your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to add anything?
I love it because the thing that we've said about this is because it's a man-made or machine-made sound, it's not getting the same resonance as if we could have singing bowls. She says for the nth time, if we could find somebody that could create them, let Lorilei know if you could do that. I'm not in this to make any money. That when Spirit gives me these things, it's to share, and it's to share for a reason. So it's about getting it out there for people to be able to experience it. And that's always, the thing with this. So if there is somebody that they can do this, contact Lorilei and I can give you the frequencies. The first 6 everybody knows anyway. It's just the last 2 which are different.
Now, why were they hidden?
Well, if you go back to King Solomon and King David, they were taken out of, if you like, in history. They had to be hidden because of the fact that the frequencies, they realized, so Gregorian chants, if you think of that in history. Okay, so King David was given the first 4 tones, which he later shared with King Solomon. And we all know King Solomon in the Bible was the man that he wouldn't take the baby. He said to the mother, I will cut the baby in half, and you can have half each. And the real mother said, just let her have the baby. So he was a good king. And his wife, actually, Solomon's wife, they built temples and she was classed as a witch or whatever at the time. So, but his wisdom was there. So he gave them to David, and then they got hidden because of the church and that kind of thing. They felt that it wasn't right and so on. There's a book by, I think it's Dr. Joseph Pulo, who rediscovered them years ago, and they called it the healing codes for the biological apocalypse. Okay. That was the book that was written on the 6th. But when they started getting into the MI range of them, the MI actually is the word that derives from the word miracle. Okay, so the frequencies, each frequency, as I've said, if you listen to it on meditation music and things like that, they all have a different resonance of what they will do. So why was it hidden? Because at that time, history was not prepared to allow us to hear these tones. And I'm sure there's more than 8 frequencies. I am absolutely positive. But are we ready to hear them? As I said, the 7th frequency is 189 hertz. And that's a universal cosmic connection from heaven to earth. And it's like an infrared sound.
Interesting.
Okay. And then the 8th frequency that I was given is 52 hertz, which is a very quiet one, which rebalances the universe. And again, that's done on a cellular level. And think of it. And in fact, when you said, Leigh Ann, about the interconnecting like a little thing that you wove, it's the weave of the threads interconnecting and interweaving that connects with everything that we are in the universe.
And they were all bright white. I mean, it was just, all turned on, all lit up.
Yeah, so if that makes sense, and I don't want to get into the wooey and confusing everybody, but this is why when I was seeing it, it was like the fractal then came back as a mirror, and then the fractal then came back as a mirror. So sometimes when we have the splinters of something, we see it differently.
Sometimes you break things apart before you can bring it back together, right?
So, and everybody will feel it in whatever way it is for themselves. But the frequencies, I'm sure there's more than 8, but 6 are the ones that are used in all the meditations, and they're usually used individually. But 7 and 8 were the ones that I was given, and maybe there's 10, 11, 12, 20, who knows? But it was due to religion that they were removed and protected. A bit like if you think of the deep sea scrolls and those kind of things, that they were put away because our universe at the time was not ready to receive that.
The powers that be decided we weren't ready as a collective. And I keep hearing as I joke, my naggy spirit guide, one of them loves to repeat until I say it. Leigh Ann, they want me to ask you, what crystals would you recommend to people to possibly, should they choose, maybe want to use in tandem with listening to this to help facilitate? I
High
put you on the
vibration.
spot. We didn't know what we were going to talk about.
Oh no. No. I was like, oh, the high vibrational quartz.
I knew she would know,
Yes.
because, like, if you want to know something about crystals, you need to connect with Leigh Ann, because she knows by sight. Like I'm telling you, this lady's so well versed.
It'll be so yummy. But you know what else would be really nice would be picking a crystal for each one of your chakras
Oh
while
my God.
listening to these tones and set them out in front of you, just however they feel like they need to be arranged in front of you. And sit there with your earbuds in and listen to those tones.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I
My
keep hearing
ideal way of
chakras connected to
Oh,
this. And I
yes,
know the
yeah.
7 main chakras. For people that don't know what a chakra is, if you're listening, if you want to call it invisible, it's an energy core that runs through our body, above our body, down below, that helps keep us grounded, as well as connected to whatever your belief system is. Could be source, could be God, could be the universe, whatever. So we know there are more than 7 chakras, and they are developing, they're finding more and more with science. And I know Michelle, she's not here right now. Before we even started really talking about it, and really stuck out to me, she wrote the power of 8. So I almost feel like that, like it's in tandem, these tones to us as an energy, like we have an energy core, all of us do. Like, I'm wondering if that's what it is.
And for me personally, if I could take this sound, lay on the grass or the sand, with my arms stretched out this way, my legs stretched out like the Vitruvian man, and then just hands palm down and just listen and connect that way. For me, or you could lay on your bed and do it as well. Like for anybody that can't get outside or it's not possible.
In a bath, in a bubble bath.
In the bath as well, under the shower. Well, maybe not with these under the shower, no. Don't have any electrical.
Sandra's sharing for her. Quartz springs to mind. Citrine for solar plexus, amethyst for crown. Now, again, some people aren't familiar with crystals, and that's okay. I have had people say to me, aren't they just rocks? And then I'm almost offended. I'm not really, but I usually say, do they work? And so the thing is, right, and I've done this with some people, because if you've got, it's nice if you can feel and sense them when you walk in a store. And we've got a couple stores like that where I live here in Thunder Bay. And I remember one person, and she said, well, how will I know? And I said, just walk in there and just allow yourself to be open in front of the crystals, and wherever you feel like, ooh, that's pretty, or whatever it is, and pick it up. She is such a fan now. I think she's bought like family members crystals, and like, I think it's a gift to, if you want, living beings on this planet. Because I don't know, do you want to say a little bit about the crystals and why they would work with sound?
Yes.
Oh, good grief. I mean, I don't know. It goes hand in hand. I mean, the first time I did it was like, whoa, like, how did I not do this before? Like, how did I not, what happened? It was just magical, just beyond words. Just, I was hooked from then on, that I can't have one without the other. If I'm going to meditate, I need the crystals, and I need some kind of sound, music or sound, tones. It can be, depending on the mood.
But I remember when we first started talking and asked Debbie's introduction to crystals before, then we're going to have to sign off, everybody. It goes on too quick. I'm going to have both you back on again soon. But that's the thing, right? Music, sound, they go so well together with crystals, right? Yeah. And when I was talking to you, I remember we first met, and we were talking about meditation, and I found out all these beautiful crystals you had. And I was going, what if you brought one into a meditation? And then I remember, like, it was like literally putting a key in a lock, and then these, oh my gosh, the things that, like, you are a channel for sure, the things that come out of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know. Some of it, I go back and I read it, and I'm like, whoa. Wow.
And she remembers. Hey, Debbie, like, I told you, like, some of the stuff that you've remembered. I'll tell Debbie, I'll go, how the heck, like, back to 2018? But I got to ask Debbie before we go, and then I'll read Kevin's part here. What about you with crystals? Do you have a memorable experience the first time?
With crystals, for me, I've always been attracted to them. I've never known why. So when I would go into a shop or I would see something, it wasn't based on this is supposed to do this for you. That was supposed to do that for
I
you.
agree.
I would go to the crystal. I'm like, wow, I really love this crystal. And then the person in the store would tell me, and I'm like, okay, that's obviously what I was meant to have because that's what I need. So mine was an unconscious or this not a connect with it. So when people ask me about crystal, when I buy one, people say to me afterwards, what is that crystal? I said, I have no idea. I'll have to look it up because I just buy it because
that's what I do. And I tell people
it can sometimes be an expensive experience, I can tell you. But, you know, and when we left Canada and started here, like there was the person that was basically cleaning out my house and selling off everything. They said to me, but all your beautiful crystals, how can you let them go? And then for that moment, I'm like, my eyes got big and I'm like, you know what? The universe will replenish them. They've always done that in my life. I left England to come to Canada. I left Canada to now be in Mexico. Is this my last jump? I don't know, but they're just things, and crystals have come to me. The only one crystal that I do carry all the time with me is one that I was gifted, and this is my crystal skull Kahan that was gifted to me in Australia many, many years ago. And he has traveled the world with me. He's my go-to. He's my sometimes my grounding, sometimes my inspiration, sometimes my no, you can't do that. And in fact, just recently on one of my weekly readings, somebody had said, all those skulls you have, they're evil. I'm like, do you understand what the skulls represent? And I said, you know what, I was there with you many years ago, but it's the mind connection.
Maybe that's why I love skulls. I always have. Like this one, when I took my crystal Reiki, we had to do a whole study, and we haven't even got into the grids, you guys, that Leigh Ann does. But we had to make a grid, and we had to name this. I use this one in my healing work. It says a Super 7 or Melody Stone, and it actually heats up. There's, I don't know if you guys can see the red on there. I'll have to turn it. But it will go bright red when I use it and get hot. So apparently this crystal, this is another show we'll leave you hanging on here. Its name is Justice. Maybe we'll do a show on all that. But these ladies definitely I'm going to have back. I am so grateful. You guys have shared so many incredible comments. So if you're listening, please check them out wherever the show is posted. Like I know on YouTube or Facebook, you'll see them. Jane even mentioned essential oils, and Sandra's written all kinds of great crystals she's picking up, feeling might work well with these Solfeggio tones. So I want to thank both you ladies for being here. Everybody in the audience, Leigh Ann, please first, I'll let you go first since I introduced Debbie first. We'll end it with you first, and then Debbie, where can they find you? Have you got anything coming up, or do you want to let people know how to get a hold of you?
All right. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, I am The Crystal Architect. On Instagram, I am Architect the Crystal.
Yes.
And everything's the same. Contact info's there. I'm easy to find, and I'm easy to get a hold of. So please contact me.
And Debbie, tell them all about you. Make sure you plug Chris's stuff too, and you and you've got coming up and everything.
Yeah. So I have a website. It's called vibrational-energy.com. Lots of free stuff on there. So there's free meditations, there's free words and things like that. There's lots of free stuff. I do readings. I have my decks, my oracle decks and affirmation decks. Which
I was just looking if I have mine out here, and I don't think I do. I should have thought of that to pull them out.
Oh, dear me. I don't know. So, vibrational-energy.com. I do have a Facebook page, which is Vibrational Energy 5. But, you can connect with me on there. I have a weekly readings on YouTube that I post, and my monthly predictions, which get posted on there as well, and meditations and things. So there's lots of free stuff. I love to give free stuff away.
She does. And Chris, her husband, Chris Lee.
He's under past life regression and progression.com. It's a mouthful. Okay, but yeah, he does his past life regression, and yes, he does them online. I do readings online now, and he also does training as well.
And he has books
and that's Chris.
too.
Yeah, he has books, downloadable books, as well as hard copies. But the hard copies are more difficult these days because of mailing, so he's got them mostly in downloadable ebooks. And that's clproductions.org, I think he's under, clproductions.org.
There you go. Husband and wife team. I want to thank you both for being here. You two are like sisters to me. I adore you. Thank you. And I want to thank everybody in the audience. You guys have added, as you always do, to the show with your comments and what you're picking up, or what, like the crystals here. I just love what you've all shared. So thank you. I would love to have you guys join us on Thursday night, David Hansel and I, with the thing at the foot of the bed, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, I will be back with the Angel Rock next Monday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay tuned. If you're looking for a great paranormal show, the Horsefly Chronicles with Philip and Julia Syracuse are on right after me, and they're amazing. I don't know who our guest is because I need to, and I've been kind of holding off over the summer because I want to be able to do a few things here and there, a few shows on my own, and then sort of people that maybe aren't always available till the last minute to have on. But I have a list, I'm not kidding, of about 35 people to book. So when I do that, we are going to be book with incredible, amazing guests. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much. Thank you to Leigh Ann and Debbie again so much. And you guys have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. We send you all so much love and light. We'll see you soon. Take care. Oh, you know what? Before I go, I should get a hold of me. I forgot. If you want to get a hold of me, a show idea, guest suggestion, you want to book a reading, healing session, I do mentoring. It is Angel Rock. Sorry, Facebook.com/Angel Rock. See, I'm off kilter here. Also have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and Angel Rocker Tribe for many of the things we talked about tonight. Okay, now I'm signing off with all of us. Talk to you guys soon. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you.